operating system is the bridge between the system applications and the hardware. And what are the primary functions of the operating system? No, it makes the system convenient to use and organize them and manage the system resources effectively and correctly. And also it allocates and deallocates the system resources while executing the process and tasks. And here you can see the architecture of the operating system. As we already discussed, it is a bridge between the user applications and the hardware. And some of the responsibilities of this operating system are memory management, process management, time management, file system management, input-output device management. So here, kernel is the heart of the operating system. It is the core of the operating system and which is responsible for managing the system resources and communication among the hardware and other system-based services. And it also contains system libraries and services. And what are all the responsibilities of the kernel? If you consider the general purpose operating systems are as follows. They are process management, memory management, as we already know, memories of secondary memory or primary memory, and managing these primary and both primary and secondary memory, file system management, input output device management, a protection system and interrupt handler. And we briefly discussed about these process management, and each process is having its unique ID. So process control block will maintain all the information regarding that process, and inter-process communication is nothing but communication established between the process, and after that process detected and after the execution of the process, they need to be terminated. All these things are managed by the kernel of that operating system. So primary memory and secondary memory, where primary memory is the volatile memory. If the in the absence of the what is the difference between volatile and non-volatile? In the absence of the power supply, you will lose the entire data which is stored till that time. No, that will be lost. In case of volatile, non-volatile means we won't lose the data even in the absence of the power supply, right? So here that read-only memory or non-volatile memory, also called as program memory, which is used to store the programs, applications, right? Whereas the random access memory is used to store the data which is required to execute that programs. Our shared data are the variables loaded into this RAM to execute, which are required to execute the programs loaded in the read-only memory. And memory management unit of the kernel is responsible for managing these responsibilities belonging to the primary memory. And what are the responsibilities of this memory management unit? No, with keeping track of which part of the memory or which portion of the memory area is currently used by the processor, processor. And allocating and deallocating the memory space in a dynamic manner, it will allocate. And file system management. A file is a collection of related information. A file could be a program, it may be text file, or it may be a image, or it may be audio, video. And some of the operations which are provided on the files are something like creating, deleting of the file, creating the file, or doing any manipulations or alterations on the file. So these are all the files are as well as the directories. These are some of the operations performed on the file system. And allocating some space to store the file data, right? Okay, it is providing automatic allocation of this file space based upon the amount of free space available, and providing a flexible naming convention. Again, we are having the flexibility to change that name or rename it. And input output device management. In the input output device management, a kernel is responsible for routing all these input output requests coming from the different devices into the corresponding IO device, corresponding input device or output device. So here, kernel of the general purpose operating system is responsible for making these input output requests coming from different user applications to the appropriate input output device. So in particular operating systems, the direct accessing of the input output device is not at all possible. The access to them is provided through a set of application program interfaces. So we are going to discuss about these application program interfaces which are exposed by the kernel. And this kernel maintains a list of all the input-output devices of the system. And the device manager who is of the kernel is responsible for handling these input-output devices related operations. And the kernel talks to the input-output devices through a set of low-level system calls which are implemented in a service. Those low-level system calls are called as device drivers, and it is very important. Device drivers, definition of the device drivers and device managers. Okay, who is responsible for handling all the input-output related operations, no? So, and the definition of the device driver is important. What is the device driver? Whenever the kernel want to talk to the input-output devices through a set of low-level system calls, which are implemented in the service. Those low-level system calls are called as device drivers. Next is secondary storage management. It deals with managing the secondary storage memory devices if they are connected to the system. Okay, and secondary memory is used to back up the medium for programs and data since main memory is volatile. So if you don't want to lose the data in the absence of the external power supply, you can use that data. You can store the data particular programs in the secondary memory, which are non-volatile in nature. In most of the systems, the secondary storage is kept in hard disk. Hard disk are considered as a secondary storage. And here the secondary storage management services of the kernel are deals with disk storage allocation, allocating the memory space for the hard disk and disk scheduling and free disk space management. So when depending upon the availability of the free space, the space will be allocated for the hard disk. Okay. There are two types of space are available. These two are very important for the short answer question, kernel space and user spaces. So application is always divided into two types. So here user applications are kernel application. Whatever the application that is executed by the embedded system is classified into two types, user applications and the kernel applications. And the memory space which is allocated for the user application is different, and the memory space which is allocated for the kernel application is different. And the space which is allocated for the user applications is called as user space. And the space which is allocated for the operations belonging to the kernel or the applications belonging to the kernel is called as kernel space. So the two definitions are very important for the short answer questions. Kernel space, define kernel space, define user space, define device drivers. So these three are very important regarding the short answer questions. So now there are two types of applications are possible. Any application or any services handled by the operating system, the embedded system, right? So that is divided into that we can be divided into two types, that is user applications or kernel applications, right? And whatever the memory space that is allocated for the user application purpose, the memory space which is allocated for the user application purposes, that space is called as user space. And the memory space which is allocated for the applications belonging to the kernel are called as kernel space. Now we can say what is user space and kernel space, right? So applications and services are mainly divided into two types, user applications and kernel applications. And the memory space which is allocated for the applications belonging to user. Okay, memory space which is allocated for the user applications is called as user space, and the memory space which is allocated for the kernel applications and applications belonging to the kernel of the operating system. Okay, that space is called as kernel space. There are two types of kernels are broadly divided into two types. Kernel is broadly divided into two types, monolithic kernel, microkernel. Monolithic kernel and microkernel. Here we will see what is the difference between monolithic kernel and microkernel. In monolithic kernel architecture, all kernel services run in the kernel space. We already know what is user space and kernel space, right? So the memory space which is allocated for the kernel application is called as kernel space. And in the case of monolithic kernel architecture, all the kernel services, all the services handled by the kernel of the operating system are running the kernel space. Here, all the kernel modules run within the same memory space under a single kernel method. The major drawback of this monolith, that's why the name monolithic, the name itself indicates all the kernel modules will run within a same memory space, in a single memory space. Okay, so under a single kernel thread, all the memory space, all the kernel modules will be executed. all the kernel modules will be executed, or all the kernel modules will be run under the same memory space under the single kernel method. That's why the name monolithic kernel. The major drawback of this monolithic kernel is that any error or any failure occur in any one of the modules that leads to crashing of the entire kernel application. Why? Because no, the entire kernel modules are running in the same memory space, right? So under the same kernel thread. So if any failure occur in any one of the kernel module, in any one of the module, that will affect the entire kernel application. So we can say the examples of the operating system which are using the monolithic kernel, like Linux, Solaris, MS-DOS. Okay, so all the applications in the case of monolithic, entire applications are run or executed under the single thread, under the single kernel thread. You can see clearly in this diagram. Second type of the kernel is microkernel. So the microkernel design incorporates only the essential set of the operating system services into the kernel. The rest of the operating system services are implemented as a servers which runs in the user space. So it will use both user space and kernel space, right? That's why I'm discussing these two definitions, user space and kernel space, before discussing the types of the kernel. Okay, so whereas in the case of monolithic kernels, they only use the kernel space. They won't use the user space, right? Under only all the kernel modules will run under a single thread of the single kernel thread, and with the only in the kernel space. It won't utilize the user space. Whereas in the case of microkernel, no, the essential set of the operating system services will be run in the kernel space, and remaining services now will be implemented as a program in the user space. Okay, so memory management, process management, timer management, interrupt handlers are the essential services. Those will be executed in the kernel space. Okay, memory management, process management, time management, and interrupt handling. No, so these are all the essential. Those can be considered as essential services. Those services will be executed or run under the kernel application, under the kernel space. Okay, remaining applications will be executed under the user space. Here you can see the diagram. By seeing the diagrams itself, you can find out the differences between the monolithic kernel and the microkernel, right, students? So server, here it is having two space, right? User space and kernel space. Kernel services running in the user space and applications, and microkernel with essential services like memory management, process management, time management will be run under the kernel space. Okay, and some of the services also will run under the user space. Okay, so essential services will run under the kernel space, and remaining services will run under the user space. Whereas in the case of monolithic, all the services will run under the kernel space, under the single thread of the kernel. What is the main drawback of that kernel space? Monolithic kernel, if any failure or any error occurred in any one of the module, that will crash the entire entire kernel application, right? So that's all about that basics of the operating systems. And second topic here is the types of the operating systems. There are two types of the operating systems are possible: general purpose operating system and real-time operating system. So what are the two types of the operating systems are possible or available? Operating systems are classified broadly into two types. They are general purpose operating system and real-time operating systems. So general purpose operating systems, these are the operating systems which are deployed in the general computing system, is called as general purpose operating system. The kernel of such operating system is more generalized when compared to the real-time operating system, and it contains all kinds of services required for executing the general operations. Okay, and these general purpose operating systems are often quite non-deterministic in behavior. And about this general purpose operating system and real-time operating system, we discussed in the first unit while we are discussing the differences between the general purpose system and the embedded system, right? So their services can inject random delay into application software and may cause slow responsiveness of the application at the unexpected. Why? Because this general purpose operating system may not be used for the real-time applications, right? Okay, so if any delay occurred in the response time, that may not affect the may not affect that application, right? So personal computers and desktop system is a typical example for the systems with general purpose operating system. Examples we can consider Windows XP and MS DOS are the best examples for the general purpose operating system. And second type of operating system is the real-time operating system, which is used for the real-time application where response should be in time. Okay, response time is very critical factor in the case of systems which are using with the real-time operating systems. And this real-time implies deterministic timing behavior, unlike the general purpose operating system. And deterministic timing behavior in real-time operating system context means the OS services consumes only known and expected amount of time regardless of the number of services. Okay, the real-time operating system decides which application should run in which order and how much time needs to be allocated for each application. Why? Because the delay is not accepted here. Response time is a very critical factor and response should be in time. Okay, why? Because this real-time operating systems is used in the systems which are used in the real-time applications like defense applications, aircraft applications. 1 second or 2 seconds delay in the response will affect more, will affect the application. Okay, so some of the examples of the real-time operating systems are Windows CE, QNX, VxWorks, Micro C, OS2, etc. are some of the examples of the real-time operating systems. And what are the kernels used for these operating systems? Are real-time kernel, hard real-time kernel, soft real-time kernel. So the kernels which are used for this real-time operating systems may be hard real-time kernel or soft real-time kernel. So today we discussed about some of the basics regarding the operating systems and what are the main parts of the operating system as a kernel and what are the responsibilities of the kernel and what are the different types of the kernels are available. And before that, what is the different types of memory allocations are available, user space and kernel space, and how these by utilization of this user space and kernel space differentiate the types of the kernels, right? So differentiates the monolithic and the microkernels. And we also discussed some of the types of the operating system, like broadly they are classified into real-time operating systems and general purpose operating systems. And we discussed some of the differences between these two operating systems with examples, right? And tomorrow we are going to discuss about some of the operations and the responsibilities of the kernel regarding the real-time operating system and what is the kernel use, how many types of kernels are used for the real-time operating system and what are the responsibilities of the kernel regarding real-time operating system. And also if time permits, we'll also discuss about the third topic of this fourth unit, that is task, process and threads.